Despite certain animal size, finding them can be difficult. In actuality, a lot of the enormous animals you're about to observe have less information. They like hiding far too much, which explains why. Because of this, we have gathered some of the craziest and most bizarre species for you. To ensure your safety from this swarm of animals, subscribe and click the small bell symbol. Here are 30 of the biggest creatures ever photographed. Giant lion. Some people are natural risk-takers who never back down from peril, like this man who has grown accustomed to being around lions to the point where, even though he is accustomed to them, he was still terrified when he had to confront a massive 660-pound lion. Consider being close to a lion that is nearly your size. You never know when one of these animals might become enraged. Massive swans are renowned for tagging anytime they feel like it. The woman was simply admiring swan chicks when this enormous one approached. She believed that the best course of action was to flee in order to preserve your life while still appreciating the marvels of nature. A manta ray. Typically, gentle giants dwell in the ocean. And this manta ray, poor thing, got caught in a net. If not for the beachgoers who assisted the array in getting back into the water, it would have perished. In light of its size. To raise it and push it back into the sea, it took roughly 6 people. Who would save a big African snail, which is a gardener's greatest nightmare snail, but that is probably because they were unaware of them. Additionally, they may even be prohibited in some locations. The US government paid $1 million to get rid of them since they were so bothersome and unwelcome. They pose little threat. However, if you have a weak stomach, viewing this slimy creature will likely make you queasy. The sunfish, big fish. Probably conjures up images of a graceful moving fish, yet it would be inaccurate. They experience the most severe size increase of any vertebrate and are genuinely enormous beasts. The open-mouthed fish with vertical fins was a treat for these divers to encounter. When placed in front of the fish, they seem like tiny toys. Just one more justification to avoid the ocean. Brown bear. While some enormous creatures are stars, others are merely observed by chance. Brody the bear is a good illustration. When this Kodiak bear was only 8 weeks old, he was born enormous. He is almost 10 pounds in weight. The National Geographic magazine featured him on its cover. Additionally, he was able to travel and spend time with Muhammad Ali. The globe. Is it possible that a gigantic bear is leading our ideal lifestyle? Huge otters of Muhammad Ali. Typical otters are adorable. They even hold hands while swimming, in actuality. However, huge otters are a completely distinct species. Remember the Cayman Islands we told you about? Well, this family of otters recently engaged in a brutal battle with a large one. Imagine what they can do to mankind if they can defeat this monster. To cap things off, they work as a great team, which makes them even deadlier. Huge spider. This spider's name is Goliath bird eater. If that still doesn't explain how this spider is, I'll explain. From us to you, this creepy crawler has 11-inch legs and a nasty venom that kills its victims' internal organs. This one over there eats an innocent reptile to sate its hunger. You can see it hunt right now. You haven't seen a black caiman crocodile on steroids, albeit they are already a frightening species. We give you the caiman in black. A couple of vacationers came across a 13-foot caiman that was enormously resting underwater. They used the selfie stick to record underwater because they weren't cool enough to enter the water and disrupt it. Approximately 20 feet long was the longest one ever caught. But this one is a fantastic second-place finisher to join the centipede. That can be a puppy, thus 4 legs are acceptable, right? Anything beyond that, however, is best left to our beloved Amazon's enormous centipedes, spiders, and beetles. Just letting him walk all over him, this guy. But is he aware that they have venomous, razor-sharp claws in their heads that may instantly immobilize a person? Cockle crab. The largest land-dwelling crustacean on Earth is the coconut crab. And this is unambiguous evidence. Besides size, they move quickly as well. But fear not, they don't care much for human flesh. They appear to be coconuts. Their large claws are understandable. Coconuts appeal to them. Their large claws are understandable. You should only be concerned about their cannibalistic tendencies. To survive, they will occasionally consume their own expelled organs or even members of their own species. If this tortoise wasn't moving, you could think it was a large boulder. One more of nature's gentle giants is this. Unfortunately, only few of them are still alive today. There were hundreds of 1000s a few centuries ago, but today there are just a depressing 15 left. A mature tortoise can reach a maximum length of 6 feet and a weight of over 1,000 pounds. Imagine transporting them. Enormous green anacondas. Unfortunately, this enormous green anaconda can leap across the water like you're claiming. Giant is defined as being 30 feet long and 550 pounds. They can crush a jaguar into mush with their 400 psi bite force. Simply observe how it was skulking around in the water. They are unbeatable. Run to land if you ever come across one, because that is where they are vulnerable. If they don't already have a chokehold on you, that is. Bull. One benefit of living in a city is not having to deal with troublesome animals. A jaw-dropping 1,600-pound ankle Watusi bull kept as a pet by a couple who live nearby is not something you want to encounter. They are renowned for their enormous horns, which, if improperly trained, can be utilized to stab an opponent directly in the stomach. We all know that moose are enormous animals, but until they were shown in this video, the internet was unaware of just how enormous they really are. A man traveling through Anchorage, Alaska, noticed a large moose crossing the road. To get perspective on the situation, watch how Titan appears when a car drives by. The biggest horse, Big Jake. The typical height of a Belgian horse is roughly 16 inches, but one of them defied all odds by leaping an incredible 82 inches. After Big Jake was named the owner of the tallest horse in the world by Guinness World Records in 2010, he gained worldwide fame. Despite being enormous, the horse is just as graceful as always. In Poynette, Wisconsin, this respectable horse is now retired and probably enjoying the best hay around. Here's a small task for you before we continue. If you can quickly hit the subscribe button and enable notifications, hit the like button on this video. Your luck will be fantastic for 10 years. Try it right away. It really does work. Big pig pigs are rarely considered cute or even appetizing by most humans. However, when you see this enormous, revolting-looking pig, you won't view them in the same way again. The farmer Chen Chong Song who raised him ate this pig. This one was a monster at 2,118 pounds. It's not a genetic disease that caused this pig to be so obese. Simply put, he was really lazy. He only eats and naps. Shoestring stork. Anyone who sees this bird for the first time immediately thinks, wow, that's an ugly bird. Now, let's move. Past appearances. It appears to be 5 feet tall, with a 6.5-foot wingspan. It possesses an odd death stare that will instantly scare you away. The creature's enormous beak, which serves as a lethal spear, is the worst of all. Large sheep. Some animals flourish when left alone, but Sheila the sheep does not. Before it was found on the side of the road, this sheep had been on the run for around 2 years. The original owner then noticed Sheila wearing a 48-pound wool coat. The former believed it would set a new record. Even though he somewhat underestimated, it was still an odd occurrence. A bald eagle is after all a pretty well-known bird. It serves as the U.S.'s national bird. The harpy eagle is its lesser-known cousin, though. 2 farmers managed to capture this enormous beast after it continued to devour their livestock. With claws that are 5 inches long, they are the biggest eagles in existence. They definitely have a voracious appetite. They can feed on large species like monkeys, sloths, and even deer when they're starving. Ever imagine a bird being able to do that? There can be no discussion of the large harpy eagle without mentioning its relative, the bald eagle, which is distinguished by its dazzling white plumage, brown body, and hook-shaped yellow beak. The bald eagle is typically observed swooping low and using its strong claws to capture a fish. But how frequently do we see it in cities chasing squirrels or rabbits? This large animal was captured on camera devouring its catch in front of this structure in Brooklyn, New York. Look at how unassumingly common is going about its business. The wingspan of a bald eagle is around 2 meters or 7 feet. That is taller than the typical 17-year-old boy. I wonder how long the wings of this eagle are. You wouldn't characterize a frog as a big Goliath frog. Nevertheless, the Goliath frog. Things are as they were before. Think about discovering one of them in your space. I'm completely alarmed. They resemble what might result if a witch turned a prince into a frog. But to find out, I wouldn't want to kiss one of them. They are the world's largest frog species. You might come across one of these in African nations like Cameroon, where Mr. Andy J. Frogman Kaufman is credited with breeding the world's largest one. Probably far too domesticated is this one. The unfortunate boy has access to a worm that is directly in front of him. Due to the fact that they don't make the irritating mating noises that other frogs do, you may keep these creatures as pets. Corso Kane, what would you do if you were next to a 110-pound dog that was drooling all over you? Well, this kid is petting the dog on the back, unlike you and many other people. Fortunately for me, Cane Corso seems to get along well with children and is their family dog. Look at how much larger the dog's head is than the children's. I'll keep a safe distance if I ever encounter one of those. King automobiles are enormous in the eyes of the Tibetan master. Wait till I show you who it competes with. Tibetan Mastiff dogs. Even the cage cannot contain this guy. Standing on their hind legs, which can reach heights comparable to those of a grown man, it appears as though a man is donning a Scooby-Doo outfit. Imagine running across this Tibetan Mastiff that resembles a bear after it has purged its own role. Okay, give up picturing how awful it will be. What if you were walking one of these dogs and it spotted a squirrel or something else it liked? In that instance, it would be difficult to determine who was walking who. On the plus side, they are beautiful dogs and a terrific companion for cuddling. Largesse Pig Lord, since we're talking about enormous domestic animals, allow me to introduce you to Tickle Me Elmo 3, a 1,300-pound pig. This pig took first place in an Indiana Pig Wong competition. An Indy car weighs the same as the pig. Unfortunately, Tickle Me Elmo was defeated in the next round by another hog that weighed just over 1,300 pounds. However, he might want to retire to its farm and eat all the ground corn it can locate there. Biggest wager with claws that are ideally suited for gripping and wings as wide as both of its arms stretched out. And what appears to be a dog's face. We are fortunate that there is no truth to the myth that bats feed on human blood. The so-called flying foxes are bats that mostly consume fruits and plant leaves. The greatest recorded wingspan was 1.7 meters. But the fact that they are the only animals with actual flight is a real fact about them. Just let's hope that these bats don't continue to develop, because if they do, they'll have to live up to the rumors about how dangerous they are. Giant lizards, what if we discovered that we had somehow changed into these massive, voracious, poisonous creatures when we woke up? We would be dealing with a lizard Armageddon. Fortunately for us, these lizards are unique to one Indonesian island. They can turn a goat into mush with a bite force of roughly 600 psi. The biggest measurement ever made was 10 feet long and 366 pounds. To think that they consume a buffalo-sized meal. Humans are a part of the menu, you would agree. Additionally, they use their tails as a weapon of defense that can strike as hard as a baseball bat. To make all of these people appear diminutive, a leatherback turtle O. It must be enormous. Take note of how slowly the animal reaches the sea and carries its body on its flippers. Look at the size of the man who is resting next to it. Although they are skilled divers, they are rather slow and vulnerable on land. Depending on their age, they have the capacity to gain up to 2,000 pounds. Lapu-Lapu, the largest crocodile from the Cebu Philistines, is here to see you. Look at the size of that beast. Although Lapu-Lapu is large, he is not the biggest known croc in the world. It is so large that it might swallow a man. Cassius, an Australian coastal land crocodile that is 5.48 meters long and weighs about a ton, holds the record for the largest crocodile ever to live in captivity. It is one of the most dreadful species alive today. The Gondang tiger is the largest known tiger, dwarfing the Siberian tiger. However, Indonesia appears to be home to the largest endemic species, weighing between 300 and 350 kilograms, or 600 and 770 pounds, or twice as much as the typical Siberian tiger. During the Pleistocene era, they lived in Indonesia's Suitland region. The Siberian tiger is our current champion since the Gondang tiger is now extinct.